When people call me to buy a home or relocate to Kansas City, I keep track of all the questions that they ask. Here are the top 10 questions that people ask when moving to Kansas City. Number one question, the one that I get asked by far the most, is how do I avoid the effects of crime in Kansas City? If you didn't know, U.S. News and Reuters recently put out a list of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the United States in 2025, and Kansas City ranked number 8. That is unfortunate. The homicide rate is going up all the time. It is better from last year, but still not great. I follow a couple Kansas City news outlets, and it's not atypical for me to wake up to another notification of a person getting shot and killed in the Kansas City metro. It's a really sad reality, and therefore, it's something that a lot of people ask when relocating to Kansas City. Now, there are a few tips that I want to give you to avoid crime in Kansas City. The first thing is, don't believe everything that you hear about the news. You might think that, I have to relocate to Kansas City and everything is going to be just chaos out here. It's going to be like you're dodging bullets. It's going to be like you hear gunshots all the time. I will tell you, I live in a more dangerous neighborhood in Kansas City. And for me, we hear gunshots maybe once every week or once every 2 weeks. Now, once you get outside of our neighborhood, it's very rare that you hear gunshots or crime activity happening, especially when you get to areas that have higher price point homes. So here are my top 3 tips to avoid crime in Kansas City. Number 1, it's almost too obvious to say, but number 1 is don't be involved in any illegal or illicit activity. If you don't deal drugs, you don't plan on dealing drugs, you don't plan on joining a gang, you don't plan on crossing people, all of those things are going to be lightning rods for crime. And if you don't plan on being a drug dealer or buying illegal drugs, you can avoid a lot of the crime located in Kansas City. Obviously, part of the illegal and illicit activity is knowing where to go, not being out super late, not picking fights. Those types of things, if you kind of keep to yourself, you should be pretty safe. Now, the number 2 one is a little bit more useful, at least to me, because I think what I would say is your budget is going to most likely determine the safety of the neighborhood that you end up in. Now, I would say that if you're a single person and you wanted to buy a home, you need to spend at least $150,000 to get a home in a decent area that's not going to be just overridden with crime. If you're going to rent as a single person, count on at least $1,000 a month and go up from there, because then you can rent in an area that is going to be a lot safer. Now, if you have a family, I would bump that budget up to at least $250,000. If you're going to buy a home, buy for at least $250,000, because then you get access to some of the safer neighborhoods in the Kansas City metro area. Now, if you're going to rent as a family, then plan for at least $1,700 a month for rent in a safer area. Now, I break this down into singles and families is because if you're single, you probably can get by with a much smaller space. If you're going to buy, you probably can get by with much smaller space if you're going to rent. And families, you're going to need a little bit bigger space. So the places that are most prone to crime are going to be the areas where property is the cheapest. Rent is cheap, property is cheap. I had a couple call me from California and they said, look, we want to fly in. We're going to buy this amazing $40,000 home that we saw on Zillow. I want you to do it. We've watched your videos. We like you. So they flew in and I said, look, I'm going to warn you. This area to buy a $40,000 home is going to be in a higher crime area. Are you okay with that? And they said, we are absolutely fine with that. I pick them up from the airport. We drive to that house. We look inside. In fact, we barely got inside the door because just the drive-in was so rough that they were just like, look, this is not the way that we want to raise our family. We need your help to locate a much better area than this. And you know what? We ended up not buying there. So they ended up actually purchasing a home for $185,000 in a quiet suburb of Kansas City, Kansas. So that is going to be the typical story. The cheaper the home is, the more crime typically is going to be in that area. And the last tip is, if you do buy a home, pick a place that is less volatile. If there are less renters in that neighborhood, it's going to be more stable. If more people on that block own their homes, it's going to be more stable. Let me tell you another story about crime in our area. We live in an area called Blue Hills in Kansas City. We love our home. It's incredible. It's beautiful. We plan to be here a long, long time, God willing. Now, when we moved in here in 2022, everything was very quiet. We knew all of our neighbors. Everything was really quiet. Now, In 2023 to 2024, things started getting a little bit louder. And by the end of 2024, what had happened was one of our neighbors had started, unfortunately, dealing illegal drugs out of their home, and it completely transformed our block. It's another thing. And it kind of does go block by block here. So the more stability that you can have, the less renters that you can have, the better. Now, this isn't anything about renters. This is not saying anything about the type of people that rent versus the type of people that buy, because everybody typically is smarter to come here and rent anyway than to just come here and pop into a purchase. But what I would say is that when that renter turns over, let's just say they finish their 1-year lease, they move out, maybe they're going to buy a home in Kansas City, maybe they're going to move out to somewhere else. Well, the next person that comes in, you don't know if they're going to be bringing with them illegal activity, drug activity, crime activity, and that can completely transform a block. One house can completely transform a whole block. And what can happen is, within these higher crime neighborhoods in Kansas City, it can go truly block by block. I try to keep a close pulse on our neighborhood, Blue Hills, and see which blocks are bad, which blocks are good. Currently, the neighbor who was dealing drugs, they moved out, and then now that house got flipped and somebody else bought it. It's a quiet family there now, so it's much, much quieter. But you can see the volatility even in the last 3 years that we've lived in this beautiful home in Blue Hills, Kansas City. It's pretty volatile. So that's how I would avoid crime. Now, the best way to honestly avoid crime in Kansas City is to give us and our team a call. If you're moving here, if you're thinking about buying a home here, 816-4MOVE-KC is our number. We would be happy to assist you talking through different suburbs and areas that you should and shouldn't buy a house in, or you should and shouldn't live in. We would love to hear from you. 816-4MOVE-KC. Number 2 question is, what are the tornadoes like in the area, especially from you West Coasters, just like myself, coming here from Los Angeles or coming here from New York or all these places where we help people move from. Tornadoes are not a thing in those areas. And so part of the question that they ask is, what about tornadoes? How do we keep ourselves safe? Now, there's a couple of things that I want to share with you about tornadoes. Number 1, if you're coming from LA, which a lot of you viewers are coming from LA, or if you're coming from a place that has like earthquakes or hurricanes or stuff like that, I don't think tornadoes are as bad as compared to earthquakes. Where I grew up in Los Angeles, I lived through probably 10 different earthquakes of varying degrees of magnitude. Nothing that destroyed our house, but some that got pretty scary and pretty volatile. Now, an earthquake, you can't hear it coming, you can't see it coming. All of a sudden, you wake up one morning or you wake up one night and the earth is shaking. Tornadoes are obviously not like that. You know what a tornado is. You can see it coming from a mile away. If you didn't know, in the Kansas City Metro, the first Wednesdays of the month, they typically do tornado sirens so that they test for them. They have tornado monitoring systems, so you can typically see it from a long ways away. My number 1 tip for you, if you want to avoid tornadoes, is find a home with a basement. Now, even if you don't care about tornadoes, I would still advise you to find a home with a basement. The reason why is that more and more people are moving here from different areas that don't have tornadoes, and they value a basement. I can't tell you how many people have come here saying, look, I would never consider a home that does not have a basement. Number 1, it works for storage. Number 2, you can finish it out for extra living space. And number 3, it keeps you safe from tornadoes. So it's multifunctional. Now, we do have homes built on crawl spaces. We do have homes built on slab foundations. None of those homes are typically inherently bad, but I would say for resale value and for safety wise, if you're worried about tornadoes, get a home with a basement. Now, if you stick around to the very end, I have one question that one of my clients asked me that I'm going to answer that I've actually never heard before, and I think it's a really clever question. He asked this: what are some of the least talked about areas in Kansas City where I should consider buying a home? So I'm going to give you 3 at the very end of the video. Just keep on watching. Now, question number 3 is, which side of the metro should I live? Kansas or Missouri? If you didn't know, Kansas City Metro is split into 2 states. There's a Kansas side and there's a Missouri side. In the Kansas side, that's made up of 3 different counties: Leavenworth County, Wyandotte County, and Johnson County. And then on the Missouri side, there's 3 different counties. There's Jackson County, Clay County, and Platte County. Now, I'm missing some counties surrounding that, but that's if you drive within an hour radius of the Kansas City metro, that you're going to be in one of those counties typically. Now, you can easily get out of those counties into the surrounding counties like Ray County or Donovan County or Buchanan County or one of those counties surrounding, but I'm just going to keep it to those 6 counties. And basically, I'm going to describe to you what those counties are like. So starting with the Kansas side, Johnson County is going to be the highest priced and most desirable county in Kansas City. It is going to be the best manicured, the nicest homes, typically the nicest schools. It's going to have all the shopping. It's going to have a lot of things to do. That if you kind of value suburban living, Johnson County is a great place to start. Wyandotte County is on the Kansas City, Kansas side, and if you want urban living and the Kansas side, that's a great place to look as well. They have great Hispanic food. There's a ton of diversity in Wyandotte County, and it's a neat place to live. Leavenworth County is if you want to stay on the Kansas side and you want some more land and acreage, you're going to want to be looking in Leavenworth County. There are plenty of big lots in Leavenworth County that you can typically find out there. Now, moving over to the Missouri side, Jackson County is our biggest county in the Kansas City metro. It contains most of Kansas City, Missouri, and parts of other cities like Lee Summit, Blue Springs, Independence, just to name a few. Jackson County is also where the most fun can be had because downtown Kansas City is located in Jackson County. So if you're going to move and you want urban living, you can easily choose Jackson County. You can also stay in Jackson County and get suburban living out in Lee Summit or Blue Springs. But if you move to Clay or Platte, it's less distinguishable because both Clay and Platte are both a mix of suburban, and you can find some plots of property that have bigger plots of land. So Clay and Platte are pretty similar. They're both north of the river. Jackson is south of the river. So depending on where you work, depending on what you value, that will help you determine which side of the Kansas City metro you should live on. Now, I have had people tell me that they're going to choose one side or the other because of tax purposes. I know if you live in Kansas and then work in Missouri, you have to file 2 separate state income taxes because for Kansas and Missouri and vice versa. So that might influence where you want to live. Now, if you have a good tax professional, I'm sure they can help you with all of that. That's not really my wheelhouse, but I can just tell you that's one of the reasons why people have decided to live in one county or another. If you want the very best schools, you might want to choose Johnson County because Johnson County has had consistently the Blue Valley School District, which is in Overland Park, is consistently the top ranked school district in the Kansas City metro. If you want the urban lifestyle and you want to be close to downtown, Jackson County is the way to go. We are in Jackson County. We love it here. There are some quirks to living in Jackson County, but again, you're going to want to call our team because we can explain all of these things to you. We'll schedule a consultation and talk you through all these different areas of where to live. Now, number 4 is a question that I've gotten a handful of times, and I'm kind of surprised that I got this question, but I included it on here because, again, I try to track everything. Number 4 is cannabis laws in Kansas and Missouri. Because we are one metro in 2 different states, the cannabis laws, depending on which side of the state line you're on, are different. In Missouri, both medical and recreational cannabis are legal. In Kansas, cannabis remains fully illegal. So if cannabis is a big part of your life, which honestly I didn't expect that many people asking about it, then Missouri is going to be the side to target. Question number 5: why are people moving to Kansas City? That's such a great question. Why are people moving to Kansas City? Now, I have made videos about why our family moved here to Kansas City, but I'm going to tell you a quick bullet point version of why people are moving to Kansas City. Number 1, it's affordable. It is super affordable to live in Kansas City. We're going to talk about that later in the video, but I would estimate anywhere from 9 to 10% under the national cost of living. That's the Kansas City metro. Number 2, there are jobs. There is a bunch of companies coming here building commercial buildings. You have plenty of hospitals, plenty of employers here. My wife, when we first moved here, she was a nurse at Research Medical Center. I have nurses moving in all the time. I have people who are remote work moving in all the time. So there's plenty of jobs here. Number 3 is that it is a great place to raise a family. I would say more often than not, this is the exception. This is the rule, not necessarily saying that there's no exceptions to the rule, but more often than not, I find that my clients moving here are young families seeking to escape a higher cost of living area, but still looking for all the amenities that a large metro area can provide. And so they are looking to sell their home in Southern California, or they're looking to get out of renting somewhere else and moving out here. The last family that we helped helped relocate to Kansas City, they were renting in Vegas, and they decided, hey, we want to move out to Kansas City, someplace where we can afford to buy a home. And so they came out here, closed on a beautiful home, and now are starting their family journey together doing that. And the reason is because this is not just a cheap place to live that doesn't have anything to do. There's plenty of things to do. We have a thriving downtown area that's only growing. We have plenty of parks. We have plenty of things to do. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But another reason, too, that I find is really interesting that you probably haven't thought about is a lot of people are actually coming here to retire. Now, for people who value being close to their kids, if their kids move out here, typically, a year or two later, I get a call from their parents saying, hey, Jalen, you and your team helped relocate our kids to Kansas City. We are going to sell our home and we are going to follow them. That is a very typical phone call that I get, and there are plenty of people moving here to retire close to their kids in an area where your money goes a little bit farther than a high cost of living area. So with all these eclectic people moving in, question 6 is, what are the people in Kansas City like? What can I expect with personal interactions? I would expect number 1, Midwest hospitality. People in Kansas City are pretty nice. There's a phrase called Midwest nice or Kansas City nice, and basically all that means is that you're gonna go around waving at people, smiling at people. It's gonna be a lot friendlier than if you move from one of the coasts. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I can say, just firsthand experience, I think people here are, in general, friendlier than people in Los Angeles. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have bad interactions with people here. In fact, I just got cut off the other day, and somebody flipped me off. That still happens. It's a big metro area, after all. But in general, the person-to-person interactions are a little bit more slower pace, less stress, kind here. So you're going to get that Midwest hospitality. Number 2 is you're also going to get people from all over the place. People who have relocated from California, people who have relocated from New York, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Rhode Island, just to name a few of the people that I've helped recently relocate to Kansas City. So it's a pretty diverse collection of people from all over the place. Now, I also will say this. When we first moved here, we were really homesick for California until we ran into somebody who said, look, I know exactly where you are, because where you're at, because I moved here too from almost the exact same place that you moved here from. They kind of made friends with us, and also we got to reminisce about the things that we missed about California. It felt like a little slice of home far away from home, and that's not uncommon. You're going to have plenty of people who have relocated here, who have fled high cost of living areas to try to come here to build a better life for themselves. So it's pretty diverse. Now, if you're out in the suburbs, it's going to be a lot of families, a lot of young families. I would say kids, under 10 to 12. That's kind of the wheelhouse for a lot of the families that live in Kansas City. If you're in the urban core, then it's going to be a lot more diverse. It's going to be more artsy, kind of eclectic. There's some families here and there, but it's kind of a crapshoot who is going to be your neighbor and where you're going to live. So it is fun. It is cool to live in the urban core of Kansas City, but you get a little bit more eclectic mix of people out here. Now, question number 7 is the entertainment. What is there to do in Kansas City? Well, it depends on where you live, who you are, and what you like to do. If you're a family, like for us, we love going to the park. There are plenty of parks within a very, very short driving distance in our area. There's plenty of farmers markets. There's the River Market. Every Sunday, City Market does a farmers market, and that is fantastic. There's Union Station in Science City, which is a science museum that our kids absolutely adore. We love the Kansas City Zoo, especially when the weather is beautiful right now. We go to the zoo a lot. There's a new museum called the Rabbit Hole that just opened. That's a kids museum where you get to go explore and you get to go check out. It's like kind of like kids' books come to life. That's just a short list of things to do within a 10 to 15 minute driving radius of our house in Kansas City. Now, if you're a single person, I'm not as well versed on the things that you have to do, because obviously when we moved here, I was already married, had a kid, but I do know there's plenty of great places to eat in Power and Light and Westport. Those are 2 downtown locations, and the Country Club Plaza. There's plenty of bars, there's plenty of clubs. The dating scene, I have heard, is not great, but I do know that just based on a quick Facebook search, there are plenty of active groups in Kansas City based on your local hobbies. I'm actually part of a drone pilot group. I have a drone for my photography and running this channel, so I do a lot of drone footage, and I'm part of a Missouri drone pilots group, And recently, somebody just reached out trying to grab some lunch because they saw that I was in the Kansas City area. Those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. I also like to golf, and I'm in a Kansas City golfers group on Facebook. And once in a while, we'll get a tea time together and we'll go out. And that's a great way to meet people around your hobbies. Now, I don't know what your hobbies are, whether it's biking, shooting, or hiking, all of those things. I'm sure you can find a group in the Kansas City area that would fit what you want to do. Now, question 8 is, what is the cost of living like in Kansas City? And the answer to that is it varies wildly depending on where you live in the metro. You could spend over $1 million for a beautiful house, brand new house in a suburb of Overland Park. You could spend $650,000 if you wanted 10 acres out in Leavenworth County. You could also spend $650,000 to live in the urban core. You could go all the way down to $250,000 for your first starter home. And that will obviously give your cost of living a big swing based on the house that you buy and where you want to live. Now, I would say though, the cost of living overall is below the national average. However, below is depending on where in the metro you choose to live. I would say it's anywhere from 9 to 10% below the national average based on the research that I have. The median rent for a family, I would say again, is about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. You can go up from there. You can certainly go down from there, but going back to the crime issue, I wouldn't advise you to unless you were open to living in a higher crime neighborhood. The median price of a home, now if you take into account all 6 of these counties, it's $385,000. Although I will say that if you're a family buying your first time home and your budget is $385,000, you should be able to find almost anything that you want. The median price of the home in the United States is $417,000. So you can see it's a significant amount less than what you could get in other places in the United States. Question 9 is about transportation. Now, I get asked this a lot. Is there good public transportation in Kansas City? And I would say, no, there is not, but it is getting a little bit better. You will need a car. 100% you need a car when you come here to Kansas City. You're going to be driving quite a bit. Now, the metro is pretty easily accessible depending on where you want to go, depending on what time you want to go. There can still be rush hour traffic. I've gotten stuck on the 435 quite a few times going out to Overland Park or up 71 highway. Gotten stuck there quite a few times, but it's pretty easy to get around. There's a lot of highway. I think there's more highway miles per capita in Kansas City, in the Kansas City metro, than in any other metropolitan area in the United States, which is a crazy fact. But you will need a car, you will need a functional car, and you will need to maintain it because there are a lot of potholes. You get a lot of flat tires. I've gotten flat tires multiple times driving around in Kansas City. Gas is still pretty cheap. It's about $2.80 a gallon right now for regular gas. Compared to where you live, that might be higher or that might be lower. But again, public transit is limited. There is a Ride KC bus system that is completely free, and they are expanding the free streetcar from downtown all the way to Midtown to the Country Club Plaza area. But I will say that's not going to be very much help if you live out in one of the suburbs. That's going to be great for us because then we can easily walk over to UMKC, which is a University of Missouri, Kansas City, and then take the streetcar all the way to downtown. But if you live out in one of the suburbs like Lee Summit or Olathe or Liberty, there's not much public transportation for you. There are some local buses, but it's not going to be a well-integrated city like some other cities are. Like I have a client who had moved here from Philadelphia, and he said the public transit there is incredible compared to Kansas City. Definitely New York has it beat. I think even Los Angeles has it beat because when I left, they were building the Gold Line that basically took you from the suburbs to downtown Los Angeles. I don't know how that's going. I'm sure that's done by now, but in Kansas City, transportation is limited. In terms of walkability, I would say it's not super walkable either. Some neighborhoods are walkable, some are very much not walkable. Some older neighborhoods don't have sidewalks on some of the neighborhoods, and that is really, really frustrating to me. I don't know why you would build a neighborhood without sidewalks, but sometimes you end up in the neighborhood and they don't have sidewalks. Kind of frustrating. So transportation, you do need a car. And then the last most asked question that I get, and this is for you parents with kids, are how are the schools like in Kansas City? Now, I use a website called niche.com, and it gives me a rankings of the best Kansas City area school districts. Typically, Blue Valley in Overland Park is number 1. But when I started making these videos, it was like top 7 or 8 were all on the Kansas side in Johnson County, and then there were only like 1 or 2 on the Missouri side. Now, this list, as it updates year over year, currently right now, if you just Googled what are the best schools in the Kansas City metro area, the 2025 list has 5 schools on the Missouri side, 5 schools on the Kansas side. And you would think that all the schools on the Kansas side are located all in Johnson County, but I did see that the Basehor-Linwood Unified School District, which is in Leavenworth County, actually made the top 10 list. Now, five school districts in Missouri making the top 10 list, that's a great positive for how balanced the schools are and how much the Missouri side is catching up to Johnson County. So again, if you're moving here with some kids, give us a call and we will help you pick the best school district for your children's needs. 816-4MOVE-KC. Now, like I said before earlier in the video, that one of the questions that I'm going to answer for you is, what are some unknown communities that are great places to live? I'm going to give you 3. Now, if you want an urban community that is a great place to live, that you can avoid a lot of the effects of crime in Kansas City, I have helped multiple people move to Hyde Park. Hyde Park is cheaper than Brookside, which is a more upscale area in South Kansas City, south of the river. But Hyde Park is close to everything. It's pretty safe. There's a great community feel. So I would recommend Hyde Park. Look into Hyde Park if you're looking to live in an urban area. Now, if you want to move to a suburban area and you want to stay over on the Missouri side, then look at Gladstone. Gladstone has been on our list of rapidly appreciating areas in Kansas City from year to year. And there's a reason why. It's still relatively affordable. It has a decent enough school district, and it's very, very safe. It's a nice suburb. Gladstone is a great area to live if you want to live on the Missouri side in the suburbs. Now, if you want to live Kansas side in an urban community, look at Strawberry Hill. Strawberry Hill is an area that is very, very close to downtown. In fact, I can guarantee you that if you walk around Strawberry Hill a little bit, you're going to find some really breathtaking views of downtown Kansas City across the river on the Missouri side. Now, if you're looking to move to Johnson County, the suburbs of Kansas City, then I might target somewhere like Olathe, because Olathe is not as notable as Overland Park, but you're going to be paying a little bit less. It's not as bougie or as upkept or as trendy as Prairie Village, but there are some nice places in Olathe where you can still get a house for around $250,000 to $300,000. So those are my recommendations if you're looking to relocate here to Kansas City. But again, for the full list of recommendations, watch our channel and give us a call. So watch our channel and give us a call. YouTube thinks that you're going to like this video right here.